All right, so hello and welcome. Today we're gonna go over the top 10 feats in D&D, in my opinion. Okay, so don't everyone throw your shit and have a tantrum. All right, so let's start off. Some honorable mentions that didn't make this list. Okay, Magic Initiate. Okay, basically you get first level spells and you get cantrips. Okay, from whatever class you want. Very good. Okay, Ritual Caster, another one that is also very good. Okay, the reason Caster is very good is because if you're a type of class that can't ritual cast, or you're a fighter mixing stuff up like Eldritch Knight and a wizard or whatever, and you don't have ritual caster, you can't actually cast ritual spells, even if you know third level spell slots, because of the way it works. Even though, long story short, without getting overcomplicated, it's very good. Okay, and you can get first level spell slots like Find Familiar from Ritual Caster, and it's also very good. Okay, Observant, passive. Your passive perception goes up by 5, and your passive investigation also goes up by 5. A very good thing. Okay, they just didn't make the list. They're also very good feats. There are some other ones, right? But these are, just in my opinion, the top 10 that we'll get to. Okay, I also am not covering racial feats here. Okay, I'm not covering Elven Accuracy or Bountiful Luck. Okay, I'm gonna make a separate video for those because they deserve their own video. Okay, because basically Bountiful Luck would be a 1 or 2 if I had to add them here. Okay. Also, side note, feats are optional. I don't know if anybody's told you, but they're optional rules, just like standard array is optional. The default rule is for you to roll. Yeah, thought I'd throw that in there. Okay. So I'll start with number 10. Right. Just remember that this is my list, my opinion. A lot of other people on YouTube also have similar opinions of mine. It's basically just a rearranging of the list, more or less, right? So, Crossbow Expert, okay? So, you ignore the loading property of basically any of crossbows, right? This is kind of useful, okay? So, what this means is you can use your crossbow an unlimited amount of times if you have a free hand, okay? If you don't have a free hand, you can't do it. Doesn't matter. If you have a shield in one hand, you can't reload because of an ammunition rule. Okay, loading and ammunition are two separate properties, so don't get those confused. Okay, 5 feet no longer imposes disadvantage on range attack rolls. Okay, when you pair this with Warcaster, you get regular attacks within 5 feet. Okay, this includes spells. This is why it is very good. Okay, for casters. I know. It says Crossbow Expert, but that's not really why anyone takes it, okay? They usually take it for the spells, okay? The spell attack and not disadvantage, okay? Or the ability to just attack things at not disadvantage when they're close in range, okay? With a longbow, for example. But if you use it with a crossbow, okay, when you take the attack action, you basically get a bonus action to shoot, okay? So if you have a hand crossbow, you can shoot 3 times at level 5, okay? I just thought it's kind of useful for a crossbow thing when you think about it like that. It just depends if you want a longbow for the range or if you want another attack. And also, again, as I've gone over, the feat's not really used in the way it's intended. So, it sits at number 10 because of its utility there, okay? Number 9, Resilient. Okay, so Resilient basically gets you proficiency in a save. Basically, any save you want that you don't have, right? Strength, Charisma, Intelligence, Constitution, Wisdom. Any one of those, right? You can gain proficiency in them, okay? You also get whatever proficiency that you've chosen. So let's say you're a fighter and you have strength and constitution as your primary saving throws. Let's say you want wisdom. You will choose wisdom. You will gain proficiency in wisdom saving throws, and then you will add a 1 to that score, to the ASI, to the ability score there, okay? So it's useful there. It is primarily taken by casters, specifically the wizard, to get constitution saving throws and proficiency in them, okay? But it is useful just in general for a variety of things. And it's also a half feat, okay? You get 1 ASI point out of it. So there you go. If you need it, you need it. If you don't take it. Number 8, Healer. Okay, so some people that are smooth brains don't think Healer is very good. Let me tell you that they are dumb. Big brains, okay? People understand how powerful this is, okay? When you use the Healer's Kit that you get 10 uses of it for 1 Healer Kit for 50 GP, you can get someone that is dying, making death saving throws up with 1 HP, okay? The only other way to do that is using Healing Word, Cure Wounds, or any other actual healing spell that requires spell level of a minimum of level 1. you don't require any spells. You see how powerful this is now, right? You also have the ability, everyone in your party, for one action, you can give them 1d6 plus 4 plus their hit points equal to their creature's maximum amount of hit die, okay? So what that's really telling you is at level 10, you give them 10 more HP, okay? So 1d6 plus 4 plus 10 per short rest, okay? And you can do this if you have like 7 med kits because they're on a common item. You can do that. If for some reason you're playing in a campaign where you can't buy a healer's kit, I don't know if you're even playing D&D, but hey, I guess you are. I'm assuming you can buy this damn thing, okay? And it is very good for the amount of HP you get. I mean, that's more than a cure wounds right there. 1d6 plus 4 plus whatever amount of hit die you have is very good, okay? Healer is very good. Number 7, alert. Okay, alert. Plus 5 initiative on any character is good, okay? Now, let me tell you, some people say, well, having initiative lower, it doesn't really matter. That's bullshit, okay? If you can go first, you have a significant advantage in combat, okay? If you can go before another creature and eliminate that creature before he can even take his turn, your action economy is now in your favor. If you can all go before the enemy, it becomes even greater, okay? That is why alert is useful on any character, okay? I won't say you need it on every character. It just depends. If you have a Dex character, it's very good, because having 10 initiative, and then if you have a Sentinel shield, you can get advantage on that. 10 initiative plus advantage, then you start going first pretty much all the time. And this is very good on the assassin, because they get the assassin ability if they hit a creature that hasn't taken their turn yet, right? Also, you cannot be surprised, okay? Last campaign, my friend got surprised, got stabbed in the gut, literally died. Took 140 damage in a turn. Because he was surprised and couldn't do shit, right? You cannot be surprised, okay? If some of you don't play D&D where your DM is not like that, well, yeah. I don't. I play in games where you take 140 points of damage and you pretty much die. So that will prevent that. Also, invisible enemies don't get advantage on you, okay? So how this works is invisible enemies usually get advantage on you, okay? Because they are invisible and you can't see them, okay? This counters that. They don't get advantage, right? But you still can't see them, technically, so you still have disadvantage, okay? So alert, good. And number 7. Number 6, Polearm Master. Okay, so Polearm Master, basically it works in the following way. It gives you an extra attack for a bonus action. That's basically a D4, okay, with whatever weapon you want to use, okay? It is very good if you pair this with Great Weapon Master. The reason is because it's usually a D4 plus your mod, okay? If you use Great Weapon Master on this attack, which you can do, because it's a melee weapon attack, you can do a D4, and let's say you hit, right? You do a D4 plus your mod plus 10 damage. You can see that this is going to start stacking very hard, okay? If you're a fighter with 2 attacks, you now have 3 attacks with this, okay? At level 5. So again, it's very good there, okay? Also, creatures provoke opportunity attacks from you when they approach you, okay? Usually, opportunity attacks only trigger when the enemy is trying to run away from you. This basically procs when they come towards you, okay? Now, this is very good, okay? Because what you can do is sit in the corridor or the front line, an enemy approaches you, okay? You hit them, okay, with the opportunity attack, and you deal damage. That also, on your opportunity attack, you can also use Great Weapon Master and deal even more damage, okay? If you pair this up with Sentinel, you will stop that enemy from coming at you because they can no longer move, okay? And they have to sit there because their speed is now 0, okay? Then, on your turn, you attack him 3 times, then you back up, okay? You only really need to back up 5 feet, depends on how long their weapon range is, okay? But anyway, you back up, they charge at you, you hit them with the opportunity attack with Sentinel feet combined with this, right? And repeat over and over and over again until it's dead. And you take no damage if they have melee attacks only, right? Because they can't move, and they have to keep coming at you. And if they come at you, you hit them with an AOP, okay? Also, an important distinction here. This feat does not increase your reach, okay? That is what your weapon is doing. The glaive, halberd, pike, they have a weapon reach of 10. Okay, and any other weapon that has a weapon reach of 10. Okay, you can look it up in the PHB. they actually increase your range on your stuff, right? To 10 feet, right? This feat doesn't actually do that. It's an important distinction to make. The weapon gives you the 10 feet, not the feat, okay? Number 5, mobile, okay? You are exceptionally speedy, blah, 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 blah. Basically, your speed increases by 10 feet. I don't need to tell you how very good that is, okay? But that is not the only benefit. If you take this on, say, a wood elf, and that had 35 movement speed, you now have 45 movement speed, which is very good, okay? But the 10 feet is very good, right? 30 to 40, pretty much standard. Okay, when you use a dash action, difficult terrain does not cost you extra movement on that turn. This is very useful, and I'll give you an example. If, for example, I and my party were fighting in a swamp, okay? DM is like, hey, swamp monster comes at you. We're like, okay, let's run away. He said, all of the terrain is difficult, so we can move 15 feet. And let me tell you that wasn't enough when the creature had full movement speed and we had 15 movement speed, okay? Dashing can actually save your life if you don't have to take the difficult terrain penalty, okay? Remember that. Because if you could dash in that situation, you can move 40 feet in one direction. Or, so, it's, actually, sorry, you can move 80 feet in one direction, 40 feet, But that will save your ass there, okay? Also, this feat with the keystone ability here is when you attack a creature, you do not have to hit. When you attack a creature, they can no longer get an AOP on you. Okay, so for example, let's say you see an enemy creature, you see him, and then you're going to hit him and run away. Okay, so let's say he's coming at you. He has come at you. Okay, he is sitting in front of you, and he's about to attack you. You attack. You miss. You run away. Okay, he can't take an AOP to stop you from running away. This is very good if you want to play that fast and loose character that can either teleport around or is going to move around the battlefield a lot. Okay, or you just don't want to get pinned down. Yeah, very good. Okay, that's why mobile is number 5 for my list. Number 4, Warcaster. Okay, so Warcaster is number 4. Why? It's very simple. It is absolutely needed on any class that's going to use weapons, spells, and armor. Basically, shield, sword, and armor. Okay, if you have 2 hands occupied, you need this spell. Why? Very simple. You perform the somatic components of every spell when you have a weapon or shield in one or both hands. Basically, you can cast with your hands if they're occupied. Okay. If you don't have this, rules as written, if we're playing by rules as written, you can't fucking cast spells, okay? If you have a shield, a sword, and you don't have Warcaster, you ain't casting fucking spells unless you put one of them away, okay? That is why it is very good, okay? But that's not the only reason why. So, Warcaster also gives you advantage on Constitution saving throws made to maintain your concentration on a spell, okay? This is very good for casters, okay? And it's also very good for buffing classes, right? For Paladin or Eldritch Knight or whatever class also is on the front line that has to maintain concentration on something, okay? Because when you have to roll a concentration check, usually the DC is 10, okay? Or half the damage. If you take 40 damage, half the damage is 20, okay? So this will help you be able to save on it and maintain your spell, which is very good, okay? Also, when a hostile creature performs an opportunity attack, okay? Provokes an opportunity attack from you, right? You can use your reaction to hit that creature, right, with an opportunity attack, and you can cast a spell, okay? Now, it has to target that creature, right? Here's the thing with this. If you cast a spell at him, it's going to be a disadvantage because it's within 5 feet. Unless you pair it with Crossbow Expert, then it becomes non-disadvantage. Now you see why people pair Crossbow Expert and Warcaster together, okay? If you take a Booming Blade with Warcaster and you do it like that, then it is no longer at disadvantage because it is a melee weapon attack. It is only ranged weapon attacks. That's usually range and spell, attacks that are at range have the disadvantage, okay? That is why Warcaster is number 4. Number 3, Sentinel. I have been alluding to Sentinel, and it is very good, okay? Basically, if a creature wants to run away from you, they can't. If you hit a creature with an opportunity attack, they also cannot run away. If you want to stop a big bad boss man from running away from you, you take Sentinel, okay? Also, Sentinel, again, also gives you an extra attack if it procs, okay? So for it to proc, for you to get your extra attack, a creature that is not friendly has to hit a friendly next to you, right? And it has to be within 5 feet of you, and you can hit the creature that hits your friend with an opportunity attack, okay? Now, this is absolutely very useful on rogues, because usually rogues only get their sneak attack once per turn. Okay, and remember, once per turn, not round. So after the rogue's turn ends, they can do sneak attack damage again. They usually don't get to unless they get AOPs, okay? But if they're on the front line and Sentinel procs, they get sneak attack on that damage, okay? That is why it is very useful on a rogue that's going to be in the front line for the insane damage output they can get if they can hit with the Sentinel opportunity attack, which they usually can, okay? You can also pair it with Great Weapon Master for even more damage, okay? That's why Sentinel is basically my top 3, right? As a DM, personally, if you give this to enemies that monsters, quote unquote, that have shields and swords that are human, you give them this, the players are gonna have a bad time, and you're gonna have a great time because you can control the battlefield, right? Also, one thing to note here is that this thing negates itself, kind of. When a creature within 5 feet of you makes an attack against a target other than you and doesn't have this feat, you can use your reaction to make a melee attack against the creature, okay? Now, if the monster has a Sentinel feat, then you can't use your reaction to hit him. That comes up literally never, but it is something that you could use or be aware of, okay? Number 2, I've been alluding to it the entire time, Sharpshooter and Great Weapon Master, okay? I have combined them here because they do basically the same thing, okay? One is better than the other. Sharpshooter is better than Great Weapon Master, okay? And I'll go into detail on why that is, okay? Because Sharpshooter, you can attack at long range, okay? Because Longbow has 150-foot range, right? And it has 600-foot long range. You can now shoot at 600 feet without disadvantage, okay? I don't need to tell you how good that is, especially if you're playing a campaign where you have to make those kinds of shots. If you're playing in a dungeon, it doesn't really matter, right? Sharpshooter also ignores cover. Ignores half and 3/4 cover, which is basically all cover because the only other cover besides that is total cover, and you can't even see them. And basically, what these abilities both do, Great Weapon Master and Sharpshooter, is you take a -5 and you add 10 damage. At low levels, you'll instantly kill creatures, okay, if you do this amount of damage. It's very useful down there. And even at higher levels, it becomes more useful because your ability to hit things is going to be substantially more, okay, because you're going to have like +15 to hit easily. And then taking a -5, you still have a +10 to hit at like level 17, 18, stuff like that. It becomes very useful, okay? Also, a fighting style. So Sharpshooter, you can pair it with Archery Fighting Style, which gives you a +2 to all attacks, okay? And if you take Sharpshooter and you always use it, you're only really taking a -3 instead of a -5, okay? Another reason why Sharpshooter is very good is because your weapon can be magical. If you have magic items in your campaign, which I'm assuming you do, and I'm assuming you can acquire them, if you can't, well, it doesn't matter then. But you can usually get +1, +2, +3 arrows, and you can get +1, +2, +3 longbows. And those pair together, okay? So if you have a +2 arrow and a +2 longbow, you now have a +4 chance to hit, okay? You can see why this is a lot better. Great Weapon Master doesn't have that ability because there's nothing that will increase. There is no Sharpshooter for weapons, for melee weapons, okay? Which, in my opinion, is stupid, and I have fixed it in my own homebrew set, okay? I fixed it there, but regular D&D, there is no +2 to melee weapons, okay? There is also no plus ammunition stuff. There's no oils for your weapon either, right? This is why Sharpshooter is better, right? And as I have stated here, both can increase your damage so you can take down priority enemies that have over like 120 HP. Depends on how many attacks you have, and you can whittle them down very effectively, okay? Also, and now I'll go to Great Weapon Master, okay? Great Weapon Master is secondarily useful. It's almost always taken on all melee combatants, basically, that have heavy weapons that don't want to be a tank. Because it does the same thing as Sharpshooter, except with melee weapons and gives you a +10 damage, okay? Very good. Just remember, you also have a bonus action. If you score a critical hit, or you drop an enemy to 0, you get another attack. But here's the thing. Me and my friends always forget about it because we barely notice it happening, ever. We're more focused on other things, okay? It is a thing. If you remember it, you remember it. If you don't, you don't, okay? Just remember, Sharpshooter ignoring cover, you'll basically always remember. So yeah, this is why they're number 2. It's basically because -5 for 10 damage is always great. For most scenarios, okay? Unless we're talking about, like, high level D&D tactic stuff for breaking enemy shields and stuff like that. But generally, just having the option is very good. Okay. And the number one feat in the entire game is Lucky. No surprise here. Okay. Basically, Lucky gets you 3 rerolls on ability check, saving throws, and attack rolls. So you miss one of them, you can burn a Lucky to not miss, or hopefully not miss. Okay. If you roll a 1 on a saving throw and the Lich is gonna kill you, you can then re-roll that and get like a 20, which will save you, right? Also, remember that you can do this against enemies. If enemies are attacking you, you can make them miss, right? If an enemy is attacking you, you can make them re-roll their die. Let's say they get a critical hit, you can make them re-roll the die, and they have to use a lower one, or whatever dice you choose. I don't know why you would choose the critical one, but yeah. So that happens, right? Also, if you have disadvantage for some reason and you spend a Lucky, you can pick any of the 3 dice that are rolled. You basically have super advantage. This is confirmed by one of the devs for D&D on Twitter. Yeah, Jeremy Crawford, I think. Jeremy Crawford. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Jeremy Crawford. Basically, he said, hey, it's basically luck. You have inexplicable luck during these dangerous times, right? So, if you want to hypothetically close your eyes and shoot your bow and take disadvantage and then roll a Lucky, you can get 3 dice, and you may very well get a 20. That's up to you on what you want to do there. If how much you want to exploit that, okay? So that's why Lucky is very good, guys. If you're gonna fall to your death because you made a 1 on your athletics check, this can save your life. You re-roll it, you get like a 15. Will save your life. Saving throws, attacks on you, attacks that you are making towards enemies, right? It's amazing, and you get all of them back on a long rest. And most people play long rest for 8 hours, unless you are doing a hard campaign. Then it is 7 days, and you can see the difference there. It just depends on what D&D you're playing. Okay, so that is the top 10 feats in my opinion. Basically, everyone in the D&D community has a similar list, maybe just different orders. Okay, if you like this video, leave a like. Otherwise, on screen, we'll take you back to a Eldritch Knight thing I made. You can watch if you want. Otherwise, I will see people later.